Are you seeing other Unholy DKs do massive amounts of DPS when you're struggling to keep up? Are you ever confused about what you should be doing in your rotation to min-max and do more DPS? Well, it almost all comes down to your opener, and not just that, but there is now a new meta opener that we're seeing for parsing and doing more damage to bosses that I'm gonna break down for you guys today. Now, really quickly, I'm not talking about meta gem weaving, which is a practice where you use a Thundering Skyfire diamond, get the proc of it to get increased ranged and melee attack speed, so pretty much getting some more haste, and then in the middle of a boss fight, just going in and putting in a new meta gem, your normal Relentless or Siege Diamond, and switching those over. We will not be talking about that today. We're talking about a specific opener. And this is an opener I kind of tested out on the beta, wasn't sure if it was actually a DPS increase, thought it might be, but didn't really have enough logs to go through and figure it out. But also I really wanted to figure out if this was viable. And then after now seeing all of the top parses in the world right now, it is confirmed pretty much that this is how you're gonna actually start your opener. So with that being said, let's dive right in. Huge shout out, first of all, to all of the boys in Bipolar. This guild is just the best parsing guild ever. They have just phenomenal players. Alando does an amazing job putting together a great team, and you'll be able to see a lot of them all use this exact opener. But what I'm talking about mainly is getting a huge snapshot on your gargoyle, but also now getting a massive snapshot on your Army of your Dead. Army of the Dead can do 90,000 damage, 1600 DPS, just added by Army of the Dead, purely if you get a good snapshot on it. And that means we're not actually casting Army of the Dead before we go into a fight. We're casting it now during our Bloodlust in our snapshot rotation. Now, while I describe this in the background, you're just gonna see me actually doing this opener, and I'm not even going for a parse opener. I'm not using something like Singing Crystal Axe, and I don't get lucky with my meta gem swap. But I do this opener, and I still end up getting #1 DPS on this fight, even though I actually get web wrapped. I'm the first person web wrapped. You're gonna see I am snapshotting my Army of the Dead right after my gargoyle, and then I am web wrapped. With all of my CDs and all of my procs rolling, I am now stunned, and the only reason I get out of this is because I bring my own pet. Look at this. My own pet is running over here, breaks me out, and our one hunter helps break me out, and then I have to get back on the boss. By the time I'm back in though, I am now doing almost 10,000 DPS. And I wasn't even touching the boss. Look at the right corner, 10,000 DPS, and I literally was not touching the boss. If I was here, I could have done so much more. And this is what we're gonna dive into right now. All right, just as an easy thing so you guys understand the opener for an Unholy DK, if you are confused at all for your rotation for Dual Wield Unholy or any of your rotations for Death Knights, make sure to check out the Fonzis Weak Aura. You can see my next action Weak Aura right here. This is a phenomenal Weak Aura made by my boy Fonzis, which will tell you what to press next. It'll pretty much get your bearings. It won't tell you how to do this opener yet, but I'm sure he's gonna be adjusting that. So this is just gonna be a really easy way to get your bearings playing Unholy DK, because you might be confused on what abilities to use and when to hold off on runes so you can get a new Death and Decay, when to use your Ghoul Frenzy, everything like that in between. Now, I've hidden that Weak Aura, and we're doing a GCD tracker that you're gonna see right here, just above my character, so you can see what a good actual opener is. And I'm gonna break down everything we're gonna do here. In an ideal world, you might have something like a Singing Crystal Axe to just get a huge snapshot, but realistically, I don't even think it's necessary. You could just have a normal weapon in your main hand with Fallen Crusader, and in the offhand, a weapon enchanted with Black Magic. And after you snapshot your Gargoyle and everything else, you can then swap to a second weapon with Rune of the Fallen Crusader in your offhand for just some extra DPS. Either way, you're gonna start out in Unholy Presence because you get 15% extra attack speed, and this attack speed does translate over to your Gargoyle as well as your Army of the Dead. Make sure that you have Bone Shield on at the beginning of a fight before you do it, and in an ideal situation, you have a decent amount of runic power, at least a little bit of runic power. It is not necessary though at all. Next, I'm gonna try to show you your rotation and your opener as slow as I possibly can. So you're gonna run in and open with Icy Touch into Plague Strike into Blood Strike. You can see that this Plague Strike actually missed, so it doesn't actually matter. Icy Touch, Plague Strike into Blood Strike. From there, you're gonna drop your Death and Decay, and then you're gonna summon your Gargoyle. You should have a lot of actual procs rolling right now, hopefully, and you should have had Bloodlust already used. With Bloodlust used, that means you will have 0 runes left. Right there, you are going to use Empowered Rune Weapon. Technically, you can actually use Empowered Rune Weapon before this, but just for the sake of right now, it's easy to remember, is to use everything and then summon your gargoyle. Right after that, you're going to use Army of the Dead. Army of the Dead is going to be your next ability right after summoning your gargoyle to get a snapshot on your Army of the Dead. Then you will switch to Blood Presence, and you will renew your diseases at this point with an Icy Touch, a Plague Strike. You might need to also do a Blood Strike, but you also probably won't have that Blood Rune because you swapped the presences, right? You just used Army of the Dead for one of every rune and you swapped to Blood Presence, so you shouldn't have that Blood Rune. Either way, right there is going to be the Blood Tap into Ghoul Frenzy. From there, you're into a normal rotation. Your D&D will be coming up soon and you will be able to go in and pump. So again, as a breakdown, you're getting rid of all 6 of your runes at the beginning. Icy Touch, Plague Strike, Blood Strike. The normal first 3 runes you get rid of. Then Death and Decay. You can technically Death and Decay before Blood Strike. It doesn't really matter too much. Maybe it actually would be a DPS increase since it would be off CD a little bit faster. Summon your gargoyle with your Gary macro, which as you can see right here, this is mine, where mine actually uses whatever I have, like my gloves, my trinkets, my racial, my potion, everything like that, and then summons my gargoyles and switches to my normal weapons. If I had normal weapons, I only have 1 set of weapons so far. So if I get another weapon, it'll swap my weapons. You have Empowered Rune Weapon into Army of the Dead. That is 3 more of your runes gone. Switch to Blood Presence and refresh your normal diseases, Blood Tap, and get up your Ghoul Frenzy. That is your ideal opener. And if you literally AFK from there, your pet, your Army of the Dead, and your gargoyle will literally carry you to do all of the damage. Like you saw earlier in my VOD where I was actually doing 10k DPS, not even touching the boss. All right, to show you guys in action one more time, running in, using your abilities, going through everything, summoning your Gary, then you're going to get your Army of the Dead rolling, and I even used a potion just for you guys. Swapping over, getting your diseases back up, just keeping them rolling, and then getting your Ghoul Frenzy rolling. Now in a couple seconds, you're going to have your next Death and Decay, and you just sit there and pump the boss, essentially. You're also going to notice that gargoyles don't attack onto target dummies. That doesn't matter. It's just something that you can go in and practice. Your opener is by far the most important thing to know as an Unholy DK. And this is exactly how to do the best opener for pumping bosses super hard. Now, one caveat would be, of course, please do not use Army of the Dead on any bosses that have ads. Army of the Dead will taunt any boss that has ads, and you pretty much won't be able to tank them or deal with anything. They'll just run around crazy taunting everything. Don't use Army of the Dead on any bosses that have ads, unless specifically given permission by your raid lead. Also, there might be a little bit of tweaking to this opener to make it exactly perfect, but I believe we're extremely close to perfect. If you want to know about that, make sure to check out the DK Discord, Blight Club, because there's a lot of phenomenal theory crafters in there working on everything to make sure that everything is literally as optimized as possible. And if you want to learn anything else about Death Knights, or if you want to see Blizzard's first ever speed run competition, it is happening this weekend. If you're watching this video before the weekend, over on Blizzard's Twitch channel, and I will be there as the host. If we show a lot of support, Blizzard will most likely actually put some real effort and money behind building out a version of esports for World of Warcraft Classic. Thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for all the support, and I'll see you all on the next one.